Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture podcast. I am your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create an ecosystem of academic excellence. Today's conversation is no different than any other one. It's about leadership. It's about the importance of putting people first. It's about when you become that leader that puts people first and that cares, how you will be able to create a contagious culture and environment that optimally motivates people and designs environments where people can thrive. It's about how do we become that leader and what are the characteristics, what are the contributing factors that differentiate great leaders versus good leaders. Now, we all have probably had bad leaders in our careers, in our professional environments, or even potentially our personal lives, whether it's a bad coach, a bad spouse, a bad friend. We've had bad experiences with people. And I believe that if we focus on 4 key areas a little bit differently, we'll be able to not only become better leaders, but produce better outcomes in our lives, both professionally and personally. I want you to take out a pencil or a pen. I want you to take out a sheet of paper. And I want you to draw a line down that sheet of paper, just right in the middle of the line. And I want you to think about one thing. Who are 3 people that you look up to, that you know personally, whether professionally or personally, that are alive, that you look up to them? And I want you to write their names on the left side of that line. And on the right side of the line, I want you to give 2 characteristics of what is it about that individual person that you like. Now, when you finish that, as you're continuing to go through it, I want you to do 3 additional names. And these are people you don't know. They could be dead or alive. They could be mythical characters. They could be people in movies. They could be characters, whatever you want to be. And I want you to write those 3. It could be Superman. It could be Thanos. It could be whatever it is. And I want you to write those 3 names as well. And on the right side of that paper, I want you to write the 2 characteristics of those individuals as well, that you respect, that you look up to. And now, once you're finishing this up, I want you to take that sheet of paper and I want you to fold it where you can't see the names and all you can see is the characteristics. And I want you to ask yourself one question. Do I possess the characteristics on this sheet of paper? The characteristics that you do possess, I want you to put a circle around. The characteristics that you do not possess, I want you to put a question mark next to. And I want you to ask yourself, as you're going through this activity right here, right now, what do I need to do? What education do I need to learn? Who do I need to follow? Where do I need to grow in order to start to become those various characteristics that I wrote down on the sheet of paper? Because clearly those things are important to you. And it is my belief that in order for us to become better leaders in our lives, whether professionally or personally, that we have to become better people that are more in alignment with the values, the attributes, and the various characteristics that are most important to us as individuals. It is the belief that better people are better parents, better people are better CEOs, better people are better bosses, and ultimately, in the realm of this conversation, better people are better leaders. We've all heard from someone every now and then that I don't care about people. I'm not a people person. Well, if you're not a people person, then you can't be a leader. I've heard it in my professional career, and I've heard it from friends and colleagues and even former spouses or people that I've engaged with intimately. They're just not a people person. And that's okay. That doesn't make you a leader. Because there's 4 characteristics, but the first one is that you have to care about people. And as we think about the characteristics that we're going to share today, we've created an acronym, CARE, that if you get it right, if you commit to it, if you adopt it and make it a part of your own DNA, you will be not only a better leader, but you'll be able to navigate spaces as a better person that will help you to not only influence people, but become inspirational, empower, and equip people with the necessary skills, techniques, and tools to transform other people's lives. When we think about the C of the CARE model, it's important that we consider people. Now, empathy and awareness are a strategic superpower professionally, but also personally. It's about being able to evaluate people, perspectives, and the potential impact from various things that are happening, whether personally or professionally. It's about asking the simple questions of what is really going on and how will this impact other people. If it's direct leadership, it's about taking the time to pause, understand fully of the context, and ask questions so that you can be able to deliver information in a way that the person is able to receive it. It's simple in relationships where most people are led by emotions rather than context, rather than taking time to listen, asking simple questions of, well, I understand what you just communicated. How this makes me feel is this. I just want to get clarification that you mean this before I give a response. That allows you to reframe what it is that you're communicating in order to be able to guide those individuals forward to the best possible solution. It's not about just jumping to conclusions. It's about considering that person's experience, background, heart, contributions to the team, and intentions as they move forward. As a leader, it's more about listening than directing. It's about guidance, not dictatorship. And that leads us into our next model, which is the A, which is advise. It's important that as leaders, we offer more guidance rooted in wisdom and vision. But wisdom can't be established if we don't understand what is going on, if we don't have a background of information or education, or fully understand the content in which we are speaking, or understand the challenges or considerations of our team. It's challenging for us as a team, as individuals, to be able to lead in a way not considering people and not advising them in the place that we need to advise them. So as a whole, when we look at the advise step of this CARE model, it's important for us to share insights, coach through options, and clarify direction. But it's also important to lead with integrity and consistency. Oftentimes in leadership discussions, I truly believe that people are wanting to be led to the decision. People are wanting someone to acknowledge what they're communicating, acknowledge their problems, and then be able to reprocess it in a way back to them where they feel that they came up with the solution to whatever problem was existing before they met with that leader. If I walk out of a conversation with my team or with my mentee or with my organization and I feel worse, or I don't feel supported, or I don't feel like my questions were answered, or I don't feel like that person was listening, or I feel like I was just getting more direction or more work, that's not a good conversation. So it's important for us to advise in a way of lightening the load of the individual that is engaging with us. So the first step is to consider. We need to pause to understand the full context. This requires listening. The second step is to advise. Once we hear, now we need to offer guidance that's rooted in wisdom and vision. Remind them of the mission, remind them of the vision of what we're working on currently, the goals, reassess and reestablish. All right, we're working on this. These are the objectives. How does this align? Based upon what you need, what is the takeaway of today? Here's the 3 things that I need you to consider and move forward. Now, what I don't want you to do, in my personal and professional experience, is don't tell them what to do. Provide them advice so that they can feel empowered in the best way to approach the problem that they're called to solve. Oftentimes as leaders, we feel like we're the person that solves problems for people rather than teaching and helping them solve problems on their own. That's great leadership. When we can develop other individuals in a way where they're able to approach problems in the same way that we are as leaders so that they don't need us, they need us more as guidance, not as a problem solver. In the book, The 1 Minute Manager, it talks about how we can be more intentional with empowering people to solve their own problems and recognizing that sometimes if there's a solution that exists, there's not a problem that exists. The R of the CARE model is reveal. This is the fun part. This requires us to communicate with a sense of authenticity and transparency, but it also requires courage. This reveal process it's the hard part because you got to be honest. You have to be honest with your person and you have to reveal to them where their weak spots, where their pitfalls, where their holes, where their gaps, and then be able to build trust through making them feel safe and comfortable to come to you, but also being able to regurgitate you care, you love them, you consider them, but then provide them with the best feedback so that they can grow their career. Hey, James, I recognize in 2 years, based upon our initial conversations, that you want to be X and you want to go here. Based upon the work that you're doing an amazing job. What I want to see as you move forward is areas of growth in these 2 areas for the next few weeks. I want to give you this one thing to do. And once you finish it up, let's schedule another call and let's schedule some time, put some time on my calendar so that we can review it and so that I can continue to work and mentor you in this specific area. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to coach you. And I want to see growth in these areas. Look, you're already great in these areas. You're doing a great job. You're producing. You're excellent in these areas. But these are the things when you go to that next level, when you get to that next position in the next few years, that I don't ever want opportunities in front of you that you won't be able to succeed or excel in. A mentor gave me some advice years ago that really stuck with me. He said, Kyle, at this time I was in the middle of asking myself if I wanted to go back and get another master's or pursue PhD, all of these various things. And he said, Kyle, your experience is phenomenal. You're an amazing teacher and all these different things. He said, but one of the things that I will tell you is that you never want to give someone the opportunity to not pick you just because you don't have the same experience as someone else. And I said, what do you mean? He said, if you had the same test scores, if you had the same growth, if you had the same level of interviewing skills, if you had the same personality, the same connections as someone else, but they had a master's and you did not, who do you think they would pick? That's what I want you to think about. What are all of the things that you can be doing as a leader to prepare your teams and your individuals to be in the best position to succeed? What are the things that you can be doing as a leader to provide, and what things can you reveal and communicate transparently to them with courage and with empathy, with consideration? What advice could you give them that could be able to move them closer towards where they desire to be? And the E of the CARE model is you got to equip people. You have to develop people in a way that they can succeed. If we're not developing leaders, if we're not developing talent, if we're not developing the next generation of leaders or creating a pipeline of leaders to fill your role, if we're not providing people the tools, the support, and the autonomy to excel in their role, if we're not empowering people to grow, decide, and own the mission, then what are we doing here? I said earlier, if we don't care about people and we don't become people persons or people, then we can't do this work. If we're not committed to considering people, pausing to understand, reflect, evaluating people's perspectives and potential impact, then what are we doing here? If we're not providing guidance rooted in wisdom, in background education and vision, and leading people forward, then what are we doing here? If we're not revealing to people and being honest and integral and transparent and authentic and really being able to share with them truthfully what they need to work on, where they can grow, and how they can be better as leaders, then what are we doing here? If we're not equipping our talent and our next generation and building a pipeline of leaders after us, if we're not developing others to lead successfully, if we're not providing tools to support autonomy, then what are we doing here? It's our responsibility, not our obligation. It's our responsibility past the job title, but as people, to empower your team to grow, decide, and own the mission of the organization. And it's your job as a leader to be able to get them there. If we commit to the 4-step motto, if we begin to care, we will be able to not just improve, grow, inspire, and influence people, we'll also be able to see organizations thrive. But just like I said at the beginning of this episode, if we want to be better leaders, y'all, it requires us to be better people. If we want to be able to get to a place where we're growing in our professional careers, it requires us to do the work personally. If we want to be able to impact people to where they're supposed to be going, it requires us to unpack where we came from. What are the potholes and the pitfalls in our own lives? Where are the gaps that we need to fill? What are our strengths, but then what are our own personal and professional weaknesses? Where are areas where we can grow? What are things that we need to minimize and just stop doing that is not leading towards productivity, empathy, consideration, and being a better leader? What are things that we need to add to our repertoire? Where are professional learning opportunities that we need to invest in? Where can we be better spending our time? And a question that I always ask leaders, what would your team say about you if you weren't in the room? And is that in alignment with what you would want them to say about you? You did the activity earlier where you have the characteristics. You've written down the 4 steps of the care model. So what can we do to become those characteristics and begin to care more? And it starts with one word: action. What actions are we going to take this week to be better? What actions are we going to commit to so that we can be a better leader? What actions are we going to commit to so that we can create impact in our community? What actions are we going to commit to so that we can see better in our organization? What actions are we going to commit to so that we can produce better results, better people, by first become the best version of ourselves? My name is Kyle King. It's the Contagious Culture podcast, and we will see you next episode.